On August 28, 1963, 250,000 Americans marched to the Lincoln Memorial in Washington to demand civil rights, jobs, and freedom. Those three needs summed up the deprivations of Black America, a substantial segment of a nation caught up in a web of racial segregation. 1963 was a year when segregated restaurants and drinking fountains were still common in much of the southern part of the country, and when police set attack dogs and high-pressure fire hoses on nonviolent protesters in Alabama. The United States was united only by the accident of its name, but in reality remained a troubled giant risking self-destruction. And so Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech could not have come at a more opportune time.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Over the past 50 years, there has been something of a global consensus that Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech was meant to prick the conscience of a nation and underline the immeasurable potential of a suppressed people. What has not been said enough is that those thoughts were only a footnote to a prepared text.
King was the last speaker, and he had this prepared text, and it was a good speech, the whole thing. But then he started to drift away from the last portion. He was almost finished, really gathering up his notes, almost ready to finish. And the famous story that Mahalia Jackson, the gospel singer, yelled out to him from behind. She said, "Martin, tell him about your dream." And it was at that point that he launched into that great conclusion to the speech, where he just spoke from the heart about his dream for America. But that was really not intended. It was not part of his planned remarks. And that was the part that's most remembered.
Dr. Martin Luther King had a radical vision for America, an angry man whose eloquence galvanized the crowd into applause for his vision of a fairer society.
America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds.
The dream that Dr. Martin Luther King had for America has come at a great cost, including his own life, having been shot dead by a white extremist in 1968. But 50 years down the line, a black man sits in the Oval Office of the White House in Washington, a short distance from where his time-honored words rang out in condemnation of injustice and for enthronement of equity and good conscience. Charles Ohauku, TVC News.